The new Hyundai Kona Electric was unveiled a few months ago, and this week we had an opportunity to get up close with the new car before it launches in Australia towards the end of 2023. It's bigger and more efficient and more stylish, certainly, than the previous model, and it certainly presents a more family-friendly design and size. So we're going to have a walk around of the car now. Come and check out all the design and features right now. Let's talk about design first. This LED light bar, if you can't tell, it might be not too obvious, but this is actually a single piece. And Hyundai says that's quite tricky and expensive to manufacture, and they're pretty proud of it as well. Might seem a strange thing to be proud of, but it is. The only item in Hyundai's range bigger than that for lighting is on the new Grandeur, which we don't get in Australia anymore, but it's just been facelifted in Korea with that. So as I said, this is the electric model that we're looking at. It does have some distinct styling cues of its own, particularly that different grille design along the front, similar to obviously the Ioniq 5. It is a different platform though, which we'll go into a little bit of detail about later. So let's have a look in the driver's side. Hopefully I'm on the correct side of the car. Well, we'll walk around. Full walk around design. So again, not a single piece because we've got the tailgate here, but again, this huge light bar running across the rear. Really keen to know what you think about the design. Be sure to tell us in the comments. Petrol models, at least the base model, have grey plastic cladding on here as well, which I'll show you on screen. But I think it actually looks quite, overall, it's a fairly sporty and charming design, I feel. And you might agree, I personally think a million times better than the current Kona. Let's have a look inside on the passenger side for this left-hand drive car. So I've got some ambient lighting there. That might be flashing. It's flashing on my screen, but it's definitely standard ambient lighting out here in real life. It is not a disco effect. What do you think about the inside styling here? We'll go around to the driver's side in a moment, but let's take a look in the rear before we do. There is a lot more, I'm not sure what the seating position there is right now, so that's probably a bit exaggerated, but there is a lot more rear legroom in this car, 77 mils additional legroom over the previous model. The previous Kona, even for a small SUV, was on the small side for the segment, so this is already a massive leap ahead of that. The wheelbase is longer than a Toyota Cross, but the Toyota Cross is longer than this car overall. That driving position's probably similar to mine by the looks of it, so let's hop in. Let's see what the legroom is like. Loads of legroom in here, lots of toe wiggle room underneath as well, and you'll see, hopefully not too dark, I'll hop out, have a better look. You can see that it's also got a flat floor, which despite sharing a platform with petrol and a hybrid model as well, which would have a transmission tunnel in the all-wheel drive 1.6 petrol turbo model, this electric model has no transmission tunnel. So unlike a lot of ranges that share electric and combustion engine variants, it's actually a pretty big achievement for Hyundai to get rid of that transmission tunnel for the electric model, which is obviously going to be great for footroom. Boot space is quite a bit bigger. I think it's around 30 litres in the seats up, and I think 140 litres more with the seats down, which is quite a lot. It's a bit dark. I could do with some lighting, but got a 60-40 split there. Quite a bit of boot room. Oh, well, there's no spare wheel in here at the moment. There'll obviously be a space saver, sorry. But it's a good sized boot for a small SUV, especially one with a tapered roof, tapered C-pillar. Quite nice there. Let's have a look in the driver's view. I think this may not be enough room for me. Let's pull that back. And then of course we can check the rear seat again in a moment. Okay, this feels like it would be about my seating position. So we'll have a look again in a moment at the rear seating. Controls, all plastic dials, but they feel quite nice. And I mean, realistically, it's nice to have physical dials because there are a lot of cars now we're seeing where we don't get those sorts of features. So I'm personally very glad to see them. These two 12.3-inch displays will be standard across the range in Australia as well. and I think globally. So that is quite cool too. Pretty familiar looking aircon system here for Hyundai. Set a drive mode here, like the Ioniq 5. It's got a column shifter here. We just twist that, just like you would in the Ioniq 5. This one's quite nice though. It's actually a rectangular design instead of what's in the Ioniq 5. So, all in all, pretty nice in here. Good sized glove box. That's a fairly firm plastic dash. That's quite surprising. Not soft, for those who care about such things. Oh, and that's hard plastic as well. Was not expecting that. So it is still an entry-level cost-saving model. But on that point, let's talk about pricing. After I check my new legroom in the rear, still quite good. I'm 5'10", so depending on how tall you are, I've got a fair bit of headroom, and I have a very tall hairstyle. So headroom is definitely much improved. And obviously that knee room is much improved over the previous Kona as well, but at the end of the day it is still a small SUV. It would probably do the job as a family hauler though, for a young family, not a family of basketballers. So in terms of price, well, we don't know. Right now the Kona range starts at about around 27 grand, I think. They're just not going to be able to do that with this one. We expect it'll probably kick off, well, to compete with the Corolla Cross, which starts at 33 grand. So that's probably where we should expect the new Kona in petrol form to be priced. The electric models will vary. There'll be a short range and a long range similar to what they have right now. Right now it starts at 55 grand. We're pretty certain, and we're only speculating, Hyundai's not offering any details, but because of the size increase, we're speculating that it'll kick off from around 60 grand for the EV, if not a little bit more. But obviously it can't go much higher because the Ioniq 5 is available as well. Nonetheless, very unlikely to see an electric variant available for under 60 grand, we would say. But until we see it actually arrive in Australia later this year, we won't know for sure. So that's our first look at the Hyundai Kona Electric. Tell us what you think in the comments below, and of course, please hit like and subscribe so that you can get more videos like this in the future. Cheers.